Hello and welcome back. Today's story is about something that seems ordinary at first, but quickly turns into something terrifying. Can you imagine working as a night guard at a shopping mall? It sounds like a calm job, right? But what if there were strange and unexplained rules you had to follow, or risk disappearing? This story will make you think twice about taking the job. Let's dive in. Weird rules for a night guard in a shopping mall. Being a night guard was never my dream job, but after months of unemployment and bills piling up, I didn't have much of a choice. The shopping mall where I got hired looked pretty normal, just like any other. Long hallways, clothing displays, and food courts. And though it was buzzing with life during the day, after closing, it became empty, quiet, and still. The job was simple. Walk the mall, check the locked stores, monitor the security systems, and keep an eye on the cameras. I worked alone, which suited me. But when I started, I was handed a list of rules by my boss. The list seemed normal at first, but there was one section highlighted in bold red text that caught my attention. Rules you must follow after midnight. Never look into the mirrors in the stores after 12:30 a.m. If you see a lost child, ignore them. That child is not real. If you hear noises coming from the storage area at the end of the main hallway, do not go there. During your rounds near the escalators, never lose sight of the reflections on the floor point 5. If the lights start turning off suddenly, go straight to the security room and don't leave until dawn. At first, I thought it was just some scare tactic to mess with the new guy, but I quickly realized these rules weren't written as a joke. First night. My first night on the job was uneventful, maybe a little too quiet. I walked past the stores, looked at the displays, and slowly made my way down the empty hallways. The only sound was the faint hum of the air conditioning. Everything seemed completely normal until the clock struck 12:30. I was standing in the cosmetics section, surrounded by large mirrors. I remembered the rule about not looking into mirrors after this time. But curiosity got the best of me. I slowly approached one of the mirrors and glanced into it. At first, everything seemed fine. My reflection stared back at me looking tired, which was normal, but then I noticed something that shouldn't have been there. There was a figure standing behind me in the reflection. I turned around, but no one was there. Looking back into the mirror, the figure was still there. It was as if something or someone was trapped in the mirror, between this world and another. I quickly looked away and rushed out of the room. My heart was pounding, but I tried to convince myself it was just my tired eyes playing tricks on me. The following nights. Every night after brought more strange and unexplained experiences. One night, I heard scratching sounds coming from the storage area at the end of the hallway. I remembered rule number 3 and ignored it, but the scratching grew louder and it felt like it was coming closer. Then, suddenly, it stopped. The silence that followed was even more unsettling than the noise. Another night, as I walked by the escalators, I noticed something odd. The reflections on the shiny floor weren't matching what I saw in the real world. As I walked, I saw figures in the reflection, dark silhouettes watching me, but they didn't exist in reality. I wasn't sure what to do, but I knew I couldn't look away from the reflections, or something might happen. The worst came when the lights started turning off, one by one. The lights in the shopping mall are motion censored and should stay on as I walk, but that night, they started going off in a sequence, like something was coming, something that didn't want to be seen. I panicked and ran to the security room, locked the door, and watched the monitors. I saw those figures again, moving on the cameras. But they weren't people. They were shadows, born from the darkness, and I could only silently watch as they passed through the empty hallways. The last night. My last night on the job confirmed that this mall was governed by rules far beyond normal. During my nightly rounds, I suddenly saw a child, a little girl crying in the middle of the mall. Her eyes were red from crying, and she kept calling, "Mommy, where are you?" My first instinct was to rush over and help her. But then I remembered rule number 2. The child wasn't real. With a heavy heart, I forced myself to turn away and keep walking. Her cries didn't stop. They grew more desperate, more heart-wrenching, as if she was begging me for help. But I knew if I stopped, something terrible would happen. I had to focus on the rules. Finally, her voice faded, but the fear stayed with me. Conclusion. After that night, I quit. The job seemed easy at first, but now I know that no amount of money could make me return. Work,